Okay, so are you frustrated trying to generate sales online? Um, how do I don't know anything about the coaching industry, but is it usually they have like a webinar and then they do like a sales call to sell them for coaching? How does that usually work?
Yeah, so there's usually Facebook ads running to webinar signups, and then they'll pitch at the end of the webinar, and people go into a nurture sequence. Or it's in the case of these guys, they're offline coaches that I'd been working with, so they're looking to generate calls that they then try and convert people on the calls or on a kind of workshop day. So it's usually one of those three things. It's rarely people signing up online. They generally have some kind of human interaction with the coach,
Okay, yeah, that makes
unless
sense.
you're in the realms of like the Amy Porterfields, etc. But I'm not quite there yet.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So, okay. So, the first thing, reading these first two sentences or first three sentences, um, you're kind of jumping the gun. So, by that I mean, think about somebody who doesn't know who you are. They're
Uh-huh.
scrolling through Facebook. They see a funny or a pattern, interrupt or whatever type of ad, and you say, "Hey, we just killed it. We just generated 10,000 pounds within the first 60 days for our coaching client. It's recurring or whatever the number is. Um, you know, Click learn more to see how we did it and how you could potentially do the same as well, right?
Okay.
So the first part of the journey is they clicked on the ad, right? So they're at that point where they're like, okay, this is interesting. I don't know if I believe it yet, but it's interesting enough for me to click in. So they get to the page, and obviously the headline is to let them know, hey, look, you're on the right page. The previous ad that you clicked, the claim that we made. Here's, this is just labeling, hey, you're on the right place, and it reaffirms the benefit of reading this page. Okay, so that's the headline. Um, and then you started into, are you frustrated trying to generate sales online? That's good because it's talking about a pain point.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is the next line right after that is you're asking them to do a free strategy session to discuss the results you need. Now, the only reason I have a problem with that is they've come in from this ad cold. They don't know who you are. They said, okay, you know what? This sounds interesting. I don't know if I believe it yet because people can't believe it in 3 seconds. So it's not enough time. They read the headline. They're like, okay, I'm in the right place. That's what we talked about. And then, almost the next line, you're saying, hey, get a free strategy session, which means they're going to have to get on a call with you. They're going to, they're expecting a heavy sales pitch because you're trying to sell them. And they just haven't gone through enough information to know whether they can even trust you.
Okay. Sure.
So does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I would do is I would push anything talking about a strategy session way down. Um, and I will kind of filter some of it in, just kind of passively until I've built some credibility. See, right now you have no credibility at this line. At this point, you're at the point where they're like, okay, I get this problem. Yes, I'm dealing with this problem. Okay, you've got me for a split second. So
Okay.
you've got to kind of dig in. Have you gone through the sales calls with Andy or Stan?
Yeah, but generally the recordings, because the time zones mean they're on at like midnight and 2 a.m.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. They talk about, you ask the question and then you just dig in further.
Yeah.
Like their first answer is never really what they need. Like you say, what do you want? They say, I want more business. That's not really what they care about. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't worry about that. It's more about, I want to be able to support the kids better. I want to be able to have vacation time with family. It's whatever those deeper meanings are. So we just haven't teased them enough to engage and say, okay, yes, I get it. I'm feeling it right now. I'm feeling this pain and I'm feeling this promise. Um, and that's kind of like the first step. Okay, so um,
So do you think in this section then I would be better off almost coming good on the promise and talking about some of the, obviously a very light overview of the strategy we used and what we did and how the results came through at different stages? or yeah,
100%. Yep.
the proper kind of case study it rather than just the, like you said, take out that whole section above the book the strategy call, and then
I
make
would.
that bit the kind of case study on how we got the results for that coach.
Absolutely. What I would do is I would add, I would get rid of this, and then add in one or two transition sentences.
Okay.
So the first thing you need to say, so are you frustrated trying to generate sales online? I'd love to see that sentence get more specific. Are you tired of not getting many visitors to your webinar or not many attendees to your webinar pitch or whatever you call it?
Yeah.
Are you sick of seeing another low month in engagement or whatever the coaching problems are? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And then the next line should be, I like making things sound newsworthy because people pay attention to something like that. So what I would say is, kind of like either, look, you're not alone, coaches everywhere are dealing with this problem, or have some stat that says, coaching sales are down or they're up. And the reason why they're up is because they're doing just a few handful of things that make all the difference in the world. Or for example, if they're down, they say the reason why they're down is because they're not doing, just a handful of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of true as well.
Right. Yeah. So that'll be your transition sentence. And then, from there, the transition sentence just goes right into, here's how we did it for a recent client of ours, a recent coach of ours. And then boom, there's your case study overview.
Okay.
So to summarize, I'll summarize this again just for the recording. I might want to use this again. So the headline is great. So the only goal of the headline is to get people to read the subheadline. The goal of the subheadline is to get people to read the first sentence, and then so on and so forth. So that's the goal of any line, is to get them to read the next line. So it has to stay engaged, it has to stay on theme. The second part is the headline is most important at the top because it tells people that they're on the right page. It researches the benefit of what they're going to get if they continue reading. So it's got to be something exciting, something potentially newsworthy, et cetera, et cetera. And then, the first sentence after the headline needs to talk about their pain points. Needs to talk about, I like throwing stats in there that talk about the industry as a whole. And, when you say stuff like that, I like wording things that show a little bit of credibility, but you don't straight up call it out. For example, right now I'm writing a landing page, and I'm considering whether to show it because this will be in a recording, but I might show it in a second. Anyway, and the page is basically saying, this company's been around for 13 years. They say, after being in business for 13 years, we've seen a lot of campaigns that win and some campaigns that fail. Here are the three things that we found that work and don't work. And they literally just say what it is. And people know right away that you're an expert because they've never heard of A, B, and C. Or A, B, and C just makes a lot of sense, right? But there's that credibility without you saying, we've been in business for over 13 years. We're the experts that specialize in doing this. Like that's a pitch. You don't want to say it that way. So, okay. So does that make sense so far?
Yeah, perfectly.